cold. And when it's cold, you can see your breath rising in the air. Take a deep breath. And your voice is your breath. So join your holy breath, your holy voice with us on this song.
So glad to see all of you here this morning. This week has been a deep time for me because I, last Sunday, chose not to go to Standing Rock, even though I had a plane ticket, and just didn't feel well enough to brave it. But a close friend, Barbara, went, and others from Ashland are there. And choosing not to go, though, took me into a deep place within. And I had this strange experience that I've only had about one other time in my life, when time slowed down. I had said to Spirit, if I don't go, I really want to go into a deep meditation and prayer, maybe even fast a little bit and, really focus. And something did happen. I felt each day stretched out. It was very, very long feeling. And yesterday after Barbara got back, I was talking with her, and she said it felt that way there. Each day felt so long, and so much happened in it. And it reminded me of, in Celtic mythology, they talk about places that are the loose sod, places that are like between the worlds. They're soaked in mystery and in the unknown and in all potentiality. And so I think something truly is happening there at Standing Rock that it is soaked in prayer, as we know. It's a loose sod place where things can shapeshift and change, and it's a vortex. And so, once again today, we stand in solidarity with the people that are still there and needing to be there to protect the waters. And today is dedicated to Our Lady of Guadalupe, because tomorrow in Mexico, millions of people on the 12th will be flooding to the shrine of Our Lady. And we want to be in solidarity with the Mexican people. We've been talking about the return of the divine feminine for years now, haven't we? We've been getting ready. We've been feeling it in all of our male and female bodies. It's happening. And Anya was telling me yesterday, she is rolling in like a tsunami now. Don't you think? Change is coming. And it is through the feminine leaders there at Standing Rock. So many of the Native American women have been leading the way there. And we're thinking about Mary at this time of year. Mary Guadalupe, but Mary, the original Mary, the birther of Jesus. And when you look at Mary's words, there aren't very many of them in the whole New Testament, but the ones that are there are quite revolutionary. In fact, her response to the angel Gabriel calling her it's called the Magnificat, and they say it's one of the most revolutionary texts in history. She says, okay, if this is going to happen to me, then I will give myself to it, and I will bring deliverance to the poor and the changing of the guard of the powers that be. And it's a radical statement. So no wonder the divine feminine has been repressed, because when she's on the rise, revolution and change are going to be coming. So her words to us in the midst of the change, the radical change that happened when her baby was born and the radical changes that are happening now, her words to us are, be not afraid. Be not afraid. And I'm going to have Anya come and read Our Lady of Guadalupe's words to us, to the man who first saw her. Wonderful prayer of Our Lady.
Good morning. In Mexico, families open up their homes for an entire week during this celebration. And there are altars everywhere. And many of us have been there and experienced this. But here are the words of her prayer. And instead of asking the question, which she does of us, I'm making this into a statement so we can really feel her presence. So let's just take a deep breath and anchor in this divine feminine energy of Our Lady of Guadalupe, Guadalupana, she's called. And in the Nahuatl language, her name means she who comes flying from the realms of light, like an eagle of fire. I am right here, who is your mother. You are under my shadow and protection. I am the foundation of your being, your sustenance, your happiness, peace, and effortlessness. You are in the fold of my garment. You need nothing else. Don't allow anything to worry or disturb you anymore.
Those are her words to us. Don't let anything worry or disturb you anymore. Can you do that?
No.
My mother always told me, why pray when you can worry? Why worry when you can I was thinking about that we have done this celebration to Guadalupe every year for many years now, but this year it seems so important because of what's been going on about Mexican people in our nation, how they've been targeted as one of the people that, that some are saying they've got to leave. Wow, that's so painful. So this year I want to dedicate our Guadalupe service to the Mexican people in our midst, in the United States, in our community, because Mexican people are so full of love in their hearts. Men and women alike are so devoted to Guadalupe. They go all out for the divine feminine. So I found a prayer that the Mexican people pray at this time of year to Juan Diego, who was the one who saw the Guadalupe. And let us, pray together as I read this prayer that maybe many, many Mexican people will be reciting today, or people all over our country need to be praying. for the Mexican people. And here it is. Dear Saint Juan Diego, you are our first American indigenous saint. We pray that God will protect all migrants and pour out the love of the Holy Spirit upon all who are isolated, alone, and separated by choice or necessity from their loved ones in their native lands. May those torn away from their families and forced to leave their country to find work elsewhere be reunited, husbands with wives and parents with children. We ask especially for migrant women and children who are particularly vulnerable to the dangers of human trafficking. Give them your protection and shield them from evil. Don't we say amen to that? Amen. May we as a spiritual community receive the grace to welcome with love migrants who enter into our community, seeking a home in our churches and close communities. We ask for your prayers and intercession, Juan Diego, for all immigrants everywhere who are desperate, alone, and in need of God's loving support. And we ask you, Our Lady, who appeared to Juan Diego as mother. We know that you are the mother of all in our land. We ask you to wrap your mantle of protection around all migrant people. We beg for your love, compassion, help, and protection on all immigrants everywhere today who are experiencing great sufferings, sorrows, necessities, and misfortunes. And we think of the people in Syria today and all over Europe. Come and be with us now. We ask you, our beloved Lady of Guadalupe, help us to feel your presence here in our midst today. We would be so graced and so grateful for you to be very close with us today. Come, be with us now. Amen. The symbol of the Virgin of Guadalupe has so much to offer us all, personally, from whatever background we are, whatever gender we are, because she's about our struggle to equalize the playing fields right now. That's what she's always been about, seeking justice for the oppressed. So as we strive toward greater compassion in our daily lives, not to mention as we also endeavor to create a more multicultural, egalitarian, and re-indiginated lifestyle. I like that word, don't you? Re-indiginated. We need her help. Is she someone that you know or that you have connected with? She's called the Mother of the Americas. Mother of the Americas. So she's something special to us here in North and South America. So in this next song that we're going to sing together, a beautiful song called Madre Maria, use it as an invocation. Let's really sing it with Cerise and use it as a deep invocation to drawing Our Lady of Guadalupe's presence here with us.
So the words to this chant are Madre Maria. And we're just going to invoke that name over and over until we feel her, what was it, Anya? Flying in from realms of light?
She comes flying from the realms of light like an eagle of fire.
There we go. Here it goes. Madre Maria, Madre Maria, Madre Maria, Madre Maria, Madre Maria, Madre Maria.
some deep breaths together. Feel the fire breath. Feel the breath that ignites the mitochondria, your cells, the fire that's deep down inside each one of us. Let's breathe deeply several times together. Breath of Spirit. Breath of Mary. Our own breath. Great wind of life. Ignite us now. Bring within us a renewal, a quickening. As we go deep into the dark times, we go in to reconnect with this fire within. Come and be with us now. Another long, slow, deep breath. And you may be seated. Thank you. T.S. Eliot said, "All shall be well when the tongues of flame are enfolded into the crowned knot of fire, and the fire and the rose are one." All shall be well. Don't we want all to be well on planet Earth? What does this mean? All shall be well when the tongues of flame are enfolded into the crowned knot of fire, and the fire and the rose are one. That's deep, man. And you might know better than I don't know, what does it mean? It's a deep mystery, but let me just say a few thoughts that I've had about it. I think he may be referring to the story of the tongues of fire in Pentecost. Remember that story? It was after Jesus had ascended and left, and all of the people that he had touched were gathered together in one place. It was called an upper room, and they were contemplating this strange mystery of it all. They hung out together. They said they ate all their meals together. They just, as I imagine it, they were kind of stunned. You know, they were just, whoa, in a deep heart space. Praying, contemplating, pondering the great darkness of his death and the great mystery of his resurrection and ascension. It was hard to understand with their rational minds what to do. I think we're in a time like that now, don't you, when it's hard to understand with our rational minds what to do, and yet it's so important that we do something. But the native people are telling us the most important first thing to do is pray. So they were there praying together, and something amazing happened. And some said it was what had been prophesied. And people are saying that what's happening at Standing Rock is what has been prophesied. The old and the young alike were together there, and they saw visions. They saw visions of a world that was in great need and was going to change in miraculous ways. Perhaps we are living in another time when the fire and the rose are becoming one. The fiery tongues that came down upon those people at Pentecost, I think they could signify us surrendering to the purification of our minds. Because when you speak in tongues, it's not your rational mind. Have any of you spoken in tongues? You don't have to raise your hands. Maybe you have. And you know that you've got to let go of your rational mind. It's kind of a wild thing that comes over you, you know. We let go of thinking that we know something. And then we break through into the great unknown, and something fills us and takes us over. We're open to visions from a mind that's greater than our mind. And our hearts break open too, to a heart that is as vast as the night sky. Maybe that's what's behind Guadalupe. Is it in this picture right here of her? The stars are in her cloak here. Lots of times, though, behind her is the night sky with all the stars. So something in us breaks open to a vaster love. And I think that the rose is signifying that this gargantuan love of the Divine Mother is waiting for us to open to it, her, to let our hearts break open. I've been feeling like that this week and for the past several weeks over Standing Rock, that my heart, it's like I don't know quite what to do with it. You know, it's like it's breaking open. And so in this broken open state, she's telling us, smell the roses. Smell the roses. Take the time to smell the roses. The day of the divine feminine has returned. The fire and the rose are now one. And our hearts and minds purified are ignited by the divine feminine who's flooding onto this planet. So open your hearts, people, because here we go. And all we can say is, let it be. Let it be. And tell one another, encourage one another, don't be afraid. Because she tells us, lo, I am with you always, even unto the ends of the earth.
In times of trouble, oh, Mary comes to me singing, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And in my hour of darkness, she is standing right in front of me, speaking words of wisdom. That's so true, you know. You always try to feel your feet on the floor, right? All that earth energy wants to come into your voice. Let's try. And when the broken-hearted people living in the world agree, there will be an answer, let it be. For though they may be parted, there is still a chance that they will see. There will be an answer, let it be. 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 There will be an answer, let it be.
we can let it be because we have a deep peace down inside when we link into this sense of our mother being with us. When we go deep, deep down inside there's a gentleness and there's also a fire. So right now, with your eyes closed, I just want you to touch into that gentleness and that fire and that rose. They're one there. And feel that fire igniting the cells of your being into creativity that's got to come forth now, because each one of you, you're here for a reason. You wouldn't be here on planet Earth right now if it wasn't meant to be that you've got something to give. Something powerfully creative that needs to come forth out of your voice, out of your creativity, in whatever way it shines forth. So right now, just feel the flame in your mitochondria of your cells, in your heart. Let it ignite your purpose. Let it ignite your heart's desire to take the next step, the next leap into what you're called to. Feel that fire within. I know you don't like to do things that are too touchy-feely with one another or look into each other's eyes too much, but I'd love you to share this fire and this rose with one another. So many hugs in your life. There's a lot that comes in each of our lives that we have to let it be. Things that we can't figure out, we can't resolve, things that we wish we could solve, and wounds we wish we could heal, bridges we wish we could mend with people, and we just sometimes really don't know how. And so a deep, deep prayer is to let it be. And I'm so thankful that you are people who know this, know how to do this. And Jan, you're one of those people in our midst who teaches us in a deep way how to let it be. And you've written 2 beautiful poems just lately. They're just perfect for today. So I'm so thankful that you'll come and share them with us right now.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
What is the essence of a rose? Myriad varieties, intoxicating aroma, velvet softness caressing your cheek, inviting your touch, cupped in your hands. Her heart is a mist pervading the air, the perfume, memory's muse. The rose is a woman to me. Even the thorns are the way a woman guards herself. Hold her gently, with care. If you know of the spikes on the stem, she will do you no harm. The essence of a woman and a rose are mingled, merging memories of a sister, a friend, a wife, but most of all, the Madonna. Our Lady of Guadalupe came with deep red Castilian roses, the color of love and mercy, and the blood on the cross. Mary and Jesus are one and the same. Mary and Jesus are one and the same, and so are you. She is the mother of us all. He is the Savior. Our Father is in heaven. Mother Mary comes to us here on the earth, whispering words of wisdom.
There's a power in letting it be that they're experiencing at Standing Rock. Every morning, whoever goes there new people are trained by the hundreds in, I would say, how to let it be. Because they're not using force. They're not having weapons. They're not fighting. They're not striving. They're standing in prayer. They're praying. And Guadalupe, she's standing there, if you can see this beautiful picture of her. She's not fighting. She's not striving. So this next song goes along with this feeling of the power of standing, the power of not striking out. Tell us about it, Therese.
It's said that a magical well was created when the world was being created, and this well followed Miriam, Moses' sister, through the desert. And when the people needed water, Miriam sang, and the well rose up, and she was able to give water to all the people. Of course, this song is really a prayer, and only she knew the song, so when she died, the water dried up. Well, Moses was so grief-stricken over the loss of his sister, sacred water keeper, and he couldn't get any water to come. People were getting cranky, thirsty. And so he struck a rock with his stick, and water came forth, and people had some water. But the Holy One, she was not so pleased with this striking rocks. And for that action, Moses was not ever allowed to enter the land that he had led these people for, thanklessly, for so many years. He wasn't allowed to come into the land for that one action of losing his center of prayer and striking when the right action was song. So this song tells the story, and I want you to sing with me on the part where we're going to call the water up. It sounds like this. You sing that with me? One more time. Beautiful. So the song says, Miriam, she wandered out into the wilderness, and when she sang a song, she called up the waters of life, the Mayim Chayim, the Mini Wichoni.
with all of our invocations and beautiful songs. I do feel the presence growing here, don't you? Awareness of Our Lady of Guadalupe. The season of the year, Christmas, season of giving, it's really about a time of revolutionary miracles, isn't it? Ones that come through human beings, like Jan's poem so beautifully said. Miracles that change things totally. It apparently did happen 2,000 years ago through Mary and Jesus. Just even the fact that we mark our calendar before Christ and after Christ, you know. Big things happened back then through the people. And then they happened again 500 years ago through Juan Diego and Our Lady of Guadalupe, because we can see that that's still happening today with millions of people going to the shrine of Our Lady of Guadalupe. Through humans, something happened that changed everything. A while back we celebrated Christopher Columbus Day, and Christopher Columbus's name has become not so popular, and people have changed it to Indigenous Peoples Day. But I remembered this week that Christopher Columbus's ships were named, do you remember what? The Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. So let's just think about this for a minute. Here they were coming from the Christian Catholicism to a new world where there were indigenous people already immersed in their own spirituality. And the word Nina means young woman, Pinta means painted, and Santa Maria, Mary. And what happened to Juan Diego was that he, met up with this being and gathered the roses that she showed him in his cloak, and then painted upon the cloak the face of a young woman, the Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria. So, how do we interpret that? That figure was a bridge figure between the worlds. It's very sad how people from Europe treated the native people that were here in North and South America and Mexico. But it happened. It happened. They came. We came. It happened. We blended. Things happen. That happened in a harsh way in a lot of situations, and in some not. But a blending, a bridge building happened, and it's happening again. Big changes are needed. Bridges are needing to be built. Worlds are coming together. We don't like it very much. We didn't want it to come this way. They didn't want Christopher Columbus to come the way he did. But the worlds are coming together, and big changes are happening. And somehow with that Nina Pinta Santa Maria mystery, I think there's a bigger force in control than we can even fathom. We don't really know all that's happening that needs to happen to bring things together in a greater unity and diversity. There's an old gospel song that this reminds me of, because we have got to give over to what we think is impossible. We've got to give over to an energy, to a power that creates beyond what we can imagine. So there's a gospel song that goes, "You got any rivers?" I like it as rivers, water, "that you think are uncrossable? You got any mountains you can't tunnel through? God specializes in things thought impossible. The goddess does things that others can't do." That is good news for us today, isn't it? Very good news. It's good news on our big political level, but it's also good news just in our lives. Because there are things that are heavy burdens that I know each one of us bear. Some of you might be facing financial difficulties, or some of you might be out of work or don't have a single lead on a good job, or some of you might be estranged from members of your own family. Some of you might have children who are far away from a spiritual path. Or some of you might feel lonely when you're by yourself, really lonely. The list goes on and on. But all these things have this in common. They seem impossible to solve by human means sometimes. And for the most part, maybe they are. But after all, if just human means would have solved our problems, they would have been solved long ago. But things that seem impossible are what call us to our knees, are what call us to our deeper inner self, and to connection with the Divine Mother, and to connection with one another, and into the darkness. We need to go into the greater darkness sometimes, and this time of year, right, is that time when the darkness is coming literally upon us. You know, there are some creatures in nature that require times of darkness and cold to revitalize and utilize the stores of energy humming within them. We two-leggeds also need these darkening days. We need to go deeper in. So these difficult things that happen to us, they call us to go deeper in, and then to rest and wait and attend more deeply to our inner call, to seek our connection with our inner fire. Because over and over again, we humans have got to venture into new territory to find our connection with Source. One of my favorite theologians, Soren Kierkegaard, said that God withdraws God's self from us over and over again. And we may think that that's cruel. Like, God, where are you? Why are you gone? Why can't I feel you? But God does it on purpose, so that we would venture forth into new unknown territories and find more of God. So we've got to discover the source of fire in our midst, in our souls again, and get lit up again in a new way. We know that. We've been talking about this. We've got to get activated again. But I just want to remind us that this is the winter. And so it's okay to rest. We need to rest for a while. We do. Because we're getting ready. We're getting ready for some big changes. But we've got to turn within in these darkening times and reconnect with the goddess of the hearth fire. She is real, like we're saying here today. That our ancient Celtic ancestors at this time of year, they really honored the darkness. And as the mists crept in across the fields, just like they do here, they did a ritual honoring the Yule fire. At the winter solstice, at the darkest time, did you know that they put out all their fires in their individual houses? And they ceremonially buried the last coals. And that was kind of a scary thing to do because they really needed the fire. And I've been thinking about that a lot this week as the people are at Standing Rock and they're being warmed by little fires in their teepees. You know how much ancient peoples depended upon the fire. So these ancient peoples, they put out the fire all the way. And they waited there in the darkness of the darkest night. And then they came out of their own houses. This is such an important part of it. They came out of their own houses and they gathered together around the great Yule fire at the temple of the earth goddess. And there, one by one, each household came forward and reignited their firebrand from the communal fire, the great Yule log. Isn't that a beautiful ritual? I think very symbolic for our times. Well, these ancient rituals were done for thousands of years, and they brought hope in the midst of dark and cold days. The ritual of the Yule log made it clear that we can't do it alone, that we're all in this together, and if we're going to survive through the darkening times and the cold winters, we've got to do it in the company of one another. I've asked some friends about where they find hope during these times. And I've often heard in the shelter of one another. Also, I've heard in the promise of our children, in opportunities to make healthy change. How about you? Where do you find hope in these darkening times? Think about it for a minute. If anybody would like to call out a place that you find hope, even if it's something I've already said, but if it's genuine to you, where do you find hope? In nature?
Doing prayers out loud, speaking it out loud.
Speaking out loud daily prayers.
Here on Sunday morning.
Here on Sunday morning.
Uplifting music.
Uplifting music.
And the scriptures.
Inspirational poetry.
Sweat lodge.
Sweat lodge.
Children being born now.
Children being born now.
Nature.
In nature.
My own children.
What?
My own children.
Your own children.
Meditation.
In meditation.
The love in my heart.
The love in your heart.
Music. Compassionate eyes.
Hope in your heart. Aren't we already sitting in the house of hope, even in the darkest times? We are. Meister Eckhart said, remember this, God is pure absence. God is an astonishing and spacious nowhere that allows everything to be oriented in its pull. Did you ever think of God that way, or Goddess that way, as pure absence, as spacious nowhere? At this time of year, and during some difficult times of our lives, when we're facing loss, God withdraws from us because she's drawing us into this spacious nowhere. David White, love him, right? The poet David White, he said, there's this internal doorway to the unknown. It's like the veiling of mist on the mountains, always held both. It holds both a deep fascination and a fear for us human beings, this internal doorway into the unknown. Have you ever felt the fear of going into the doorway into the unknown? I have. Into the greater darkness. And yet I also always feel allured by it. Henry Vaughan, one of my favorite 17th century metaphysical poets, said that this interior portal of unknowing is a deep but dazzling darkness. Have you heard that before? A deep but dazzling darkness. It's dazzling, I think, in the sense that it's treasure-like. But dazzling also in the sense of being reflective and overwhelming of our powers of perception. You know, like we can't see, it's just dazzling us. And that's almost a warning about the consequences of seeking a real sense of inner truth. Because when we get this real sense of inner truth, we may have to do something. We may get a vision. We may hear a calling like Juan Diego did. He was just walking on that path past the hill, and then the ancient goddess came to him. Maybe he was feeling really down and discouraged that day. Terrible suffering, after all, was happening to his conquered people being enslaved. A really dark and discouraging time then, it was. And he went walking into the winter darkness, and there he heard something calling him. And lo and behold, in the dead of winter, he encountered the Lady of Roses. The lady who had a bright sun at her back. And she called him to do what seemed to be an impossible task. Go tell the Catholic priest that an indigenous brown goddess is the Virgin Mary. Go tell the Congress that the brown people of Mexican descent are the same as your white children. Go tell the oil company that they must respect this land of the first peoples here. Go tell the powers that be that the black boy on the street is the same as their son in prep school. Go tell your family that you, the black sheep, are equal to the white sheep in your family. And on and on. What an amazing invitation Juan Diego received that day from Our Lady of Roses. What revolutionary results it had. And David White put it beautifully that in every human life there are these thresholds. These moments that seem to carry within them a very specific invitation. Sometimes even a beckoning portent, and many times even the actual pattern of what is about to occur. So right there at the threshold, I've often said, we see a foreshadowing of the shadow. So at the threshold of this next year, we're seeing a foreshadowing of the shadow. But at the same time, wrapped in together with it is a foreshadowing of a great light. So that's, I think, the secret of the rose and the fire are one. In this invitation, we are invited, this is David White's words again, into a time when events seem soul-sized, and where the individual intuits that everything that is done has enormous significance. That somehow a future life is being delineated and determined by every word that's said, done, and acted upon on a daily or even an hourly basis. Isn't that great? Yeah. It can get to the point where our thoughts and actions are highly aligned with the calling of Spirit. Isn't that great? That is what's happening. That's what's happening to us. Our thoughts and actions highly aligned with the calling of Spirit. David White goes on to say something that I deeply relate to this. See if you do too. He said, I've had this magnified, almost hallowed experience hour by hour and day by day for more than a year now. A sense of being right at the center of things. Walking through a very personal, private letting go and grief. But through it all, settling into a very firm ground in the interior darkness. A new ground that is creating an equally new dimension in our world. A new sense of territory is coming within my creative work. It has informed not only my writing, but my speaking on stage, and even the way I cross the actual territory of wildness, walking as I am now in the hills of Connemara. It's as if this personal interior unraveling has been necessary to an equally powerful outer raveling. A making of meaning through creating an almost overpowering sense of absence at the center. This is an invitational mystery through which something central to the pattern can be invited in. This is an invitational mystery through which something central to the pattern can be invited in to reorder everything. So do not be afraid, my spiritual friends. Something big is happening. Even though it seems like everything is changing and rearranging, we are uncovering such deep truths that involve a greater unknown than we have yet ventured into. A relationship with the unknown is required right now. The divine invitations are coming to us to do something that we never thought was possible. I don't know what yours is, but I know I'm getting inklings of what mine is. So be ready for that moment when the day comes and you're asked to walk through the threshold of the now moment and say yes. I hear the possibility. My heart is ignited with the fire within, and I will say yes to carry the roses. I will carry the roses to the ones who need to know that healing is possible. I will bring the roses of winter to the place where there is no hope. I will carry them carefully, wrapped in the shawl of Our Lady of Hope. In my heart of hearts, I will feel her courage, beckoning me to go forth into new territory, knowing that she told me to go there, to bring this hope to others who have no hope. Ernest Holmes says, life is momentary, and the present moment is the place to be. We've got to be in the present moment so we can have one of these aha moments like Juan Diego did. So make sure that in this time of slowing down, you're moving away the distractions out of your life. And you're really taking the time to settle into this dark night, this pause time where you can really, really hear her in this season. Because you are worthy. You're worthy to be one who carries the roses. You're worthy to be one who has the fire of purification running through your soul. Let's just pause for a moment right now and commit together today to this time of going within over these next few weeks. Let's imagine together that just because we're here in Ashland, we're not separated from all of those people at Standing Rock in the cold of the dark winter. Let's just imagine that we're not separated from all of those millions of pilgrims walking today toward the shrine of Guadalupe, praying, some of them prostrating with every step they take, down on their knees, down in a full prostration, up again, the next step, prostrating down, standing up, walking mile after mile in this slowed down way toward Our Lady of Guadalupe. So if you feel it in your heart to agree with what I'm about to say, you can repeat it after me. You don't have to, but if you agree, you find it in your heart to want to make a commitment. Say, I am open and receptive to divine guidance. I am open and receptive to divine guidance. I will rise to the occasion. I will rise to the occasion. I allow myself to live from a place of non-attachment. I allow myself to live from a place of non-attachment. I choose to serve the highest good beyond my comfort zone. I choose to serve the highest good beyond my comfort zone. I trust the divine for my sustenance and sustainability. I trust the divine for my sustenance and sustainability. I surrender my need to control and I relax into infinite love. I surrender my need to control and I relax into infinite love. I create the space in my life to be still and to listen. I create the space in my life to be still and to listen. I heed what I hear and quickly adhere to this inner nudging. I heed what I hear and quickly adhere to this inner nudging. I choose Spirit as my first choice, not last resort. I choose Spirit as my first choice, not my last resort. Not my will, but thine be done. Not my will, but thine be done. Yes, Great Spirit. In this attitude of commitment that people at Standing Rock are renewing every day, we stand in solidarity with people all over this planet. And we thank you for igniting this flame within us, for your warming touch. Even as we are surrounded by growing darkness and cold, we pause together here today. We've smelled your roses. In these holy days, it surely is our intent to share ourselves as our Guadalupe has so generously shared herself with us. Guadalupe, my final prayer to you in this moment is that on your feast day tomorrow, that everyone here will pause and get very quiet at some point in the day, and that we would hear you whispering in our ear, see Sí, se puede. Yes, yes, it can be done. May peace prevail on earth. May peace prevail on earth now and forever and ever. Amen. So may it be. So it is. Relishing the silence, I ask you to now just that he wants to recover from alcoholism. And he wants his recovery to be an emblem of a model of a leader, a native leader who's willing to admit it and to stand out to his people and say, we need trauma healing. We need trauma healing, and we need healing from alcoholism. And so he wants to come to the circle of trust, but he doesn't have money. He doesn't have insurance. And so this offering that we're taking right now is not for him. It's for unity and all the good work that we do here. But if any of you afterwards would like to give a tax-deductible end-of-the-year donation through our Journey to Healing Foundation for this man, there will be thousands of dollars needed for him to stay for a length of time, hopefully 2 months, to recover. And then he says he wants to make a film about it. He wants to proclaim it to the Native people that it's time to recover from alcoholism and from the trauma. So I'm so thankful that he has come to me and wants me to share this with you. So if any of you could do that, could give a tax-deductible donation to him to make this possible, that would be a great, great Christmas gift. So we thank you for this offering to our